Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
Welcome to John and John.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, Carter. So yes, here we are again, as
Indeed.
usual on a Monday night, live intuitive guidance.
Yep.
So for anybody that's new,
The newbies. Hello, newbies.
haven't seen us before, we basically we're teaching intuitive guidance. So
Yes.
we wanted your guidance to
Work with our guidance.
work with our guidance, and it's like because the intuition can be tricky in when it's personal, basically.
Yeah.
So when you've got personal gain involved, if you something you want, our intuition can get a bit cloudy because our intellect or our ego, whatever you want to call it, it can sort of start messing around with our intuition.
Can do sneak attacks, as we
Sneak
call them.
attacks.
Sneak attacks.
So we get asked questions, and we get you to be specific about stuff that's going on. So our intuition is always talking to us, God is always talking to us, whatever you want to call it, through life circumstances, health circumstances.
Yep.
So there is nothing wrong ever, except our thinking. Our way of thinking is 180 degrees away when we think there's something wrong or there's something bad. It's our thoughts and it's the way we're seeing it or our point of view that is the wrong thing.
Yep.
So if we can get our point of view back to the right way, which some people call it God's point of view, some people call it infinite intelligence, which is our preferred name, then all of a sudden everything falls into place. Or if it doesn't fall into place and it doesn't all get perfect and wonderful and rosy, you just don't give a shit.
It's still treated as ease, joy, and glory.
Yes, so it's like, when you see everything the right way, you start taking it and running with it the right way. So once you see things from the right point of view or the perfect point of view, which is the universe's point of view, so to speak, then, you just don't, it just doesn't bother you as much.
Yeah.
So one of the things we do is one of our tools is called if it animates you, it's in you, or if you see it, it's in you.
It's a cracker tool.
So
And there are so many examples that I'm not willing to share with you online.
Right, yes. We had a wonderful one yesterday. So if we see things, if things animate us, we call it animation because it's if they annoy you, basically.
If they piss you off.
But even if you just see them, really, if you see them and you have some sort of charge to it, some sort of to it, then there's part of that in you. But in you symbolically, not literally.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of people sort of, if you see hatred or you see...
It could be like someone littering on the street. It could be someone raising their voice. It could be someone being lazy. It could be, someone that you feel isn't showing you respect.
Yeah. So the simple way of putting it, it's lazy, right?
Lazy.
So lazy people everywhere. These people are lazy and they don't take care of themselves. They don't clean up. They don't do this and that. And then it's like, so you've got laziness inside of you. Hi, guys, everyone. So you've got laziness inside of you, but you wouldn't be lazy on the outside. So it's like, okay, so this was the first one that I really saw quite clearly back in the day. And it was like, I wasn't lazy. I would work hard. I was looking after my kids. I was doing everything, But where I was lazy and the things I wanted to work on was the clarity of my speech and my posture. I was lazy with my posture and I was lazy with my speech. So then I saw that and I corrected that. And these lazy people who had been annoying me, some of them very close friends, mind you, and family, that had been annoying me nonstop every day for 10 years. The next day when I seen them, it just did not bother me anymore. Still seen it. But it's like, not my problem.
Not my problem.
So, this is the power of this particular tool. We have 9 different tools. But the first one being how we read the intuition is if it feels light, it's right. Or if it feels light, it's true, it's correct. If it's a lie, a lie will lock you up and the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
So when your energy expands, that feels light. When your consciousness expands, that feels light. So this is the primary tool, the way we read intuition. But this is why we do intuitive guidance and why we bounce off each other. When we've got a personal gain or a personal want in it, it's we can try and our mind, our intellect can try and force it to feel like we go, yeah, that feels like push it out.
There's an inner bias that wants to just go, do that
feels like that. So, and it gets hard to read. So then if you check with somebody else who hasn't got a personal interest or personal gain in the response, then you can check with theirs. Does that feel light to you? And they're like, nah, listen to your voice.
Tell your voice that.
It's like, tell your voice that. Straight away you'll get it. So, so this is basically some of the tools. So things that annoy us, you just got to break it down to what it is symbolically, what the base of the annoyance is. You know, just really the simplest definition and your definition of it. You know, so we got any questions there yet, John?
Emily's dropped a comment, though we might need a bit more information. Emily, definitely need some guidance. I'm stuck, she says. Relationship and overwhelmed and exhausted mother of two. I need to become my spiritual self again.
Okay, so there's a few things there. We look for keywords, and you've got keywords. One of them is stuck.
Stuck.
And you need to become your
spiritual self again.
Need to become a spiritual self again. Well, this is what we call opposite. We live in opposite world. You are your spiritual self. We all are. We're our spiritual self, our God self, our higher self. That's who we truly are.
Yeah.
This thing that says that I need to become my spiritual self again is the thing that we need to get away from. It's
the thing that's annoying us.
That's the intellect, or the thing that, you know, you can't not be your spiritual self. What we do is we forget, we go into a coma almost and forget that we're our spiritual, that we're our true God self. Our true self, our God self, our higher self, it sits there all the time. When you see it, as oh, mate, he had an experience on the weekend. On the weekend. Where he really saw it in a vision. The true self, the God self, just sits there. And everything in life happens around you. Like in his version, it was like a movie screen. Yeah. Mine, I used to call it happening. But all the circumstances, they just go around you. They just
go past.
So all these things, busy, sick, you know,
tired,
financial problems, anything that is not us. It doesn't really affect the real, true you. Yeah. The soul, the God self, let's say, which is the soul and the spirit combined. Yeah. So that is you. So you just got to remember. I've got to let myself remember, and I've got to let myself let go back into my real self, or back to my, like, I'm going to let myself choose to be my real self again. Because as soon as you go back, it's kind of like, you know, the kid's trying to be the adult, right? So that's your intellect, or your, you know, we don't want to kill the ego, because that's ridiculous, because it's like chopping off your arm because it knocks something over, right? It's like, just don't call your arm your whole self, right? It's like, so the intellect is there. What we need to do is actually start listening to the heart and listen to the emotions more. So, you know, you're under a massive strain, mother of two, we're both parents, and you've got all this stuff going on. There is simply the only thing to do is to breathe sometimes. You know, when you've got all this going on, the real self is just sitting there watching it all go on right in the middle. It doesn't move. The real self is infinite intelligence. It knows everything. It doesn't evolve. It doesn't get older. It doesn't get wiser. The real God self inside is the same as the God self that exists all around, and it's unchanging. And it's amazing when you see it. It's amazing if you get a good vision of it. Yeah. And then you go years between, and you think you've made all this evolving, and you've come up like I have done many times. And I get back to it, and I get to the feel of it, and I'm like, it's exactly the same as it was 5 years ago before I did all this growth. It's like, it still knows everything. It's still unchanging, and it's still perfect. And it's like, but it doesn't mean you don't do the growth. Yeah. You need to do the growth to remind yourself to get back to that space. So, you know, it's what Abraham Hicks calls, you know, the contrast. You know? So, you know, thank these things. We thank everything, basically. So the things that piss you off, the things that annoy you, the things... Thank it for the message. So this is one of our primary tools when we're looking at the body problems. It's a message. It's a message from your soul, from your spirit, from the universe that you are, and it's a message trying to tell you to get back to yourself, to be back at your center. And it's not get back; it's be back at your center. Yeah. Be back at you, back in the center, and watch all this stuff go around. Don't try and stop it. Don't try and grab onto it. That's what causes our stress. That's what causes when we try and fix it. When we just go, oh, well, okay, I'll just deal with it. Right now, do you have any problems? There's not one of you out there. There's not one single person out there that's watching this right now that's got a problem. I can guarantee you, because you're watching this. If you had a problem, you'd be fucking running from a lion or a tiger. The only real fear that exists is a momentary fear. When we're about to fall off a cliff or we're going to get chased by a tiger, that's the real fear. All the rest is the mind trying to make things happen in the future and the past and everything else. So, you know, if you've got so much going on, you just got to keep going. What about now?
What about now? What about right now?
Right now.
What about right now?
No problems. Right now.
What about right now?
I'm breathing, and I'm sitting here, and I'm not being attacked by a lion, and I'm not falling off a cliff. Yep. So I've got no problems. And you just repeat that over and over again. So when it feels like you've got so much going on that any of these other techniques are just going to be like, you know, and it's going to be like an ice pick on a giant on Antarctica, right? So you've got to become the sun, basically. You can't do anything except sit there and become so bright and so shiny. So I mean, there is many tools, and we would have, as John said, there's not quite enough information there to go into it deeply.
So maybe tell us, like you described that you're stuck.
Yeah.
What do you think you're stuck? Like,
give us some of the big ones. Give us one or two of the big ones.
The big examples of
the real ones that if you get over them, then all the others might start tumbling down.
Yeah, and we'll come back.
Okay. What else we got?
All right. I need to. So many comments here.
Okay.
All right. We don't really do anything for me or any messages for me. You kind of probably got a feel for the kind of thing that we do now.
It's a two-way street here, guys. So we need more information off you. We need specifics because we don't want to just get, like, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. So this is teaching you, working your intuition with our intuition, so that you can go, aha, inside, oh yeah, I've been feeling that. Oh yeah, and you start to recognize the intuition. You start to remind yourself, we've all got this. We're born with it. And it's trained out of us really bad in the Western world, unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows. But, it's like this is just reawakening that which is already natural in us, that which is already true to us. So, what's the main voice of the, or the main saying of the intuition? Fuck, I knew that was going to happen. That's your intuition talking right there. We do it nearly, I don't know how many times per day, most of us, but we go, I knew that was going to happen. That's the intuition. But we've got so many other things going on. We're so busy. We don't get to hear that amongst the other 10, 15 voices that are going on. So we just write them all off.
All right.
Okay.
I don't really like this new Facebook Live setup.
No, this new setup keeps changing the comments quite drastically. So
lots of anything for me.
Yeah.
Lots of people saying that they're lost and torn.
Yeah. So lost and torn. This is the soul crying out. So the soul, generally speaking, we have what we teach. One of the main things we teach is we call it the threefold path of oneness. And the chakras, you've got 7 chakras. You've got the lower 3 chakras. You've got the heart chakra, and you've got the upper 3 chakras. They're 3 individual groups. So the 3 lower chakras together are what we call the soul, the inner child. The heart chakra on its own is called the divine masculine, and the upper 3, the 7th, 8th. We won't go up there yet. We won't go past the 7th. But the upper 3 with the body, they're called the divine feminine. So this is the marriage, the holy trinity. It's supposed to be in the heart of hearts. So when your masculine and your feminine come together, and your inner child and soul come up equally, and they join in the holy heart of the sacred of sacred, and be guided all 3 equally by God. So that means you have a balance in your life. You allow yourself the wisdom, the power, and the love to all express itself in balance over time. Then, that, as far as I know, is the end of enlightenment, the beginning of the next stage.
So I guess, to those of you that have maybe just made a comment that I'm feeling lost and so on, dig into that. It's the next level down that we can start to help you with intuitively, and try to give you some guidance and get what we feel and any messages that we get. But sort of just that blanket statement, I feel lost, isn't really a lot for us to intuitively go on.
And so we haven't got enough time to tune into every single person and do individual readings and stuff like that, because it does take a little bit of effort. Because with the intuition, with this is why we want to teach people, and we want to show them to unfold within themselves so they can tap into it. So lost is usually, like, every single message that we get, every single message from the divine, from the spirit, is a twofold thing. There's a positive or a negative, and usually a bit of both. So sometimes I'm lost. That's the inner child. A lot of the time, the inner child, the soul, is screaming out, it's lost. Because we don't listen to it anymore. We don't let our feelings be expressed. We don't listen to our intuition. We don't give ourselves that time to play and, mess around and stuff. So that's the inner child feeling lost and feeling separate. It's like, Mom and Dad, where are you? And so, that's one part of it. And the other part is the other part that you're feeling lost is you're actually not feeling lost. You just, what to do. This is the main thing. You actually, we all know what to do at the core. Every single one of us knows what to do. We just don't want to. we've made judgments that that's going to be bad, that we're going to get in trouble, that we're going to lose people, that we're going to turn into monks and nuns. That whatever reason we can't do what we want to do. So that's why we sort of feel lost, because we just don't follow it. We've got so many programs going on. We've got so many rights and wrongs and goods and bads that we just feel lost. But it only takes the stop and center and focus. But breathing, guys, is really, when you're getting overwhelmed, you've got to breathe into the lower belly, down below the navel, just below there. Breathe deeply and focus on the breath in and out until there's nothing else. Till all the words and all the chatter and everything else stops. Just go feel the breath in, feel the breath out. Really until it gets rhythmical, and then all this stuff will stop. That's it. That will do it by itself. But it will take effort. So, you might have to sit there at first. When I first did that breathing, I would have to sit there for 45 minutes and just concentrate on my breath nonstop. But then you do, and you hit that point where the rhythmical breath comes in and it starts breathing by itself. And I tell you what, 10 years of shit will get washed away in moments. It's like you will feel like you've just, did 6 months of therapy. So that is one of the easiest and best techniques. But it's also, the one that takes the most effort, and it takes the most willpower and courage. So, okay, what else we got?
Not much to read.
Not much to read yet.
There's this one here. Tracy, I'll try to read quickly. Will I ever walk again unassisted? Nerve damage from being in a coma, medical negligence. I had no feeling from the hip to the foot, now just the foot. But it's been about the same for 3 years. So I'm trying different meds, amino acids, vegan diet, meditation, positive thought, and so on.
Yeah, so look, one of the things that stuck out there is, you can't be a victim in any of this stuff. So medical negligence, well, if you're going to go into negligence, we're all victims of negligence. The fact that we're born here, our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they're all negligent. One of the things you've got to do on a soul level, on a spirit level, is own everything. This is a message, whether it was, and please, guys, I'm not saying there is no medical negligence, and I'm not saying that has to be accounted for, but I'm talking about the feeling and the emotion here behind it. It becomes victim. And it's like you've got to get rid of that victim mentality. It doesn't mean you condone it, doesn't mean you make it right. But, so when I had my first big awakening, I had a motorbike accident, the car hit me head on, killed me, or I thought it killed me, and I had a near-death experience. It went through the red light, but, I had to own that was my fault in the big picture, because 3 lights before, my intuition told me that don't go that way, go straight. And I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It's like, and I had the flash of having the accident. And it's like, so, sometimes when we create these events, we create them long before. So that was those sorts of events, accidents, we can get a message, we can get a warning just before. Other events are all the wrong choices we've made for 6 years or so before. I know some people I have to track it back, 6 or 10 years of constant mistakes that they make, not listening to their intuition, constant little things that they do, and their soul brings these things on them. So there's no simple answer there. When you said, will you walk again? There's a yes and a no. The intuition says there's both possibilities. It depends how much you want to own it, and it depends how much you want to work with the messages. So yes, and the true thing is, once you get to that point, and once you work with the messages, work what it's trying to tell you, and own it, you won't actually care whether you walk or not.
Forgiveness is coming up. The word forgiveness.
It's always forgiveness. All of this stuff. That's how we work on it. We've got to find forgiveness for the other people or the event itself, and we've got to find forgiveness and receive forgiveness for letting ourselves be in that place. And the irony is, once we get to the true self, there is no forgiveness. So we've got to go through all this forgiveness. We've got to forgive ourselves and everything else. We do all this forgiveness. And we get to the real self, the true self at the beginning, and there's no need for it. So it's a bit of a paradox, but it's just the way it works.
Right.
Okay.
Andrew, can you define to me what you believe is holistic living, or do you have a daily, weekly holistic routine to stay centered?
No, not really. It's like holistic. It means whole. So, and balance means balanced, but there is no, that's holistic, and balance is over a lifetime. So, I look at my dietary balance over a year now. I used to look at it, monthly. I look at it yearly now. So sometimes I prefer vegetarian, but sometimes then I go through this craving and I just eat meat for fucking 3 weeks.
I had a craving for meat
just
pies the other day.
I don't deny any of that stuff anymore. So holistic living, it's not my thing anymore. I used to do it. I used to teach it, but I would much rather consciousness now. It's like consciousness and listening to the soul and listening to what needs to be done. To be truly holistic is like trying to work out karma.
Yeah.
We have to get up there with the infinite God mind and be able to see all of time and everything to really be holistic. So it's a bit, a lot of it's a bit of a fucking wank, I think. It's like, it's just a natural thing that happens. As you tune in, as you listen to yourself, you don't have, it's just, there's no rules. It just comes naturally.
Yeah. That kind of wanting a holistic pattern or a routine falls away. And the centeredness just replaces it, So it's really like, listening to your body. Like, what does your body want? What does your soul want? Start with that as your routine, if you want to call it that. Listening more to yourself.
We all know at the core, when we center ourselves and balance ourselves, we all know there is no ultimate right and wrong. There is no ultimate good and bad. But our thinking, the way we see it or our point of view, makes it right or wrong, makes it good or bad. There is no thing in itself that's right or wrong, that's good or bad, because it can't be. It just is. But the way we see it and our point of view and what we do with it is what makes it right or wrong or good or bad. So the Native Americans and that they would eat meat, they would honor it, and that they would see God as bringing it there for them, and the animal would do that. It's like it's just
breathing is underrated. I love that comment. Absolutely fucking underrated.
It's like breathing. When you get down to these practices, you focus in, you breathe, and put your hands on your heart and just focus. Feel the breath coming in through the nose and out through the mouth, if that works for you, or in out the mouth, whatever works. But breathe right down into the belly and just focus on it, and just all the chatter. It's the ultimate meditation. It will shut down the chatter. It'll shut down the monkey mind within no time if you could just do it. It's like, I don't care. Where's the breath? Where's the breath? Where's the breath? Yeah. And the breath will become, you breathe in. At first, you might breathe in a little bit longer. So do an in count of 10, an out count of 8, or whatever.
Yeah. The other night I was doing so an in count of 3 and an out count of 5.
The other way around.
Was it? No, it was an in count of 3, and so it was more wanting to release, that I was holding in, and so when I started to count my breaths and what felt comfortable without forcing it, it was kind of like 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out, and I did that for a little while, and after maybe 30 seconds to a minute, it balanced back out to 3 and 3, and I felt like really centered and heaps grounded again.
Yeah. So on that because normally in the past we would breathe in for longer because we weren't breathing in enough, we weren't receiving enough. And you would breathe in for 30% longer than you would breathe out for. And you do a count, whatever your count works. Yeah. So if it's, 6 and 4, but if you need to go out for 6 and in for 4, just to start it with, and then that brings the balance about really fast.
Yeah.
And it also helps, that counting helps to shut down all that mental chatter and stuff like that, and block out all the signals, Most of, feeling lost in that's a general thing that goes right throughout the world. It's like, all the distractions we have with all the internet and everything else. Why do we feel lost? Because we're constantly looking outside of ourselves for everything. You're lost because there is no answers outside there for you. Your answers are inside, and inside is a reflection of the outside. Macrocosm, microcosm. The innerverse is the same as the universe.
And as John said earlier, We all know at the core what we want or what the message is, in some way, shape, or form. And because we feel that in our knowing, but maybe it doesn't make any sense to us at that time, we have this tendency to go and look for it. Yeah. Okay, I feel like there's something going. Okay, I'll go and find a health routine. I'll go and do this, and I'll go and do that. And then you find, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'll do this now, and that doesn't work, without turning it back in on yourself. And really, sometimes when you're feeling lost and stuck, you've just got to sit there and do nothing, and that could be for days, right? For days, and sit there and just let it fucking happen around you and not buy into it, right? And eventually you'll get to a place where it'll just be like, holy fucking shit, it's here, it's this thing within me,
So the inside reflects the outside. When you get to that point, that's the true enlightenment, and that's So one of the things that I was going to say to my daughter today, she goes, I'm a bit doubtful about this. It's like, when in doubt, do without. So, when in doubt, do without. that's your intuition. You're not spot on. So just stop. We live in this abundant world, guys. You're on the fucking internet here, talking to us in our lounge room from anywhere in the world. We don't have any luck. We do actually have the time. This is the best time in history so far that we've recorded history that we have had to actually contemplate and to sit there. There's nothing that we lack. There's nothing we have to create or build right now. It's all made. It's like
Tanya. Yes, we do lives every week on a Monday night at 8:30. We're in Australia.
This is our regular time. Yes.
And there's some links on the top of the live to go to our website or our YouTube channel. And we just uploaded like 42, I think it is.
All of our lives for the last 12 months.
Yeah, for the last 12 months. If you're keen.
Yeah.
Get on there and
there's heaps on our YouTube.
There's heaps on there.
So the YouTube links are at the top there, guys, in the messages. So check them out. We do train in our shop in South Yarra, Victoria. We're starting a Thursday night class this week or next week for a lot of these tools, the basic training, and there'll be an intro night to a weekend workshop. So that's starting very soon, this week or next week. So very happy about that.
Absolutely.
So this is just the basic training, guys. This is really just taking it all back to one. But and training is actually what we do is untrain you. The problem is you've been trained, you've been programmed. This is deprogramming. We've been programmed all along. What we're trying to do is deprogram people to allow their natural self to just flourish again. It's there. So there's nothing you can be given, but everything potentially that you ever want is inside you, but it's like a seed. What we're hopefully going to do is help you to be able to water and nurture that seed so that it can flourish. So if you get jealous, negative emotions are our biggest enemy. This is the only problem we have to do is get rid of all of our negative emotions. That's it, because that's us seeing things 180 degrees away from what infinite intelligence sees it. Should have put the zoom on.
No, we're still going to come back to you for the comments. This fucking Facebook Live, this new Facebook Live is a real pain in the ass. You can only see.
What's annoying you, John?
Fuck you. I can't read the message, John.
There we go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's a classic example of if it animates you, it's in you.
I love this guy. Fuck, I hate this guy because he just. It's like,
so that's it right there. So he's getting annoyed.
I'm getting annoyed.
What's he getting annoyed at? He's getting annoyed at because he can't read the message. Because other things. But why can't you read the message?
Because there's things in the way.
Because there's things in the way.
There's not enough for me to see it once. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! I swear, I'm gonna fucking drop the mic and walk away.
So this is the very.
It had to happen. It fucking had to happen. This is probably the first time in a year that we've had one like this on the fucking show.
In the show. This is what we're talking about. This is like if it animates.
All right, so let's turn it on me. So I'm frustrated, right? As you can see, right? I'm fucking animated, which I get, right? It's change, right? Because it's changed, and the change, I can't see the message anymore. There's things in the way. That's what's frustrating.
Yeah. So it's changed. So isn't that what the last 4 weeks has
Fuck
been about? It's changed. And I can't get my messages anymore. So we've gone through a massive. It's gone through a massive internal shift.
I've gone through a significant shift in the past 4 weeks.
And everything's changed inside of him.
I think I spent a week where I just did not know who I was, where I was.
Get his messages.
I felt like I was fully disconnected for the first time in a year. I fucking sat in my room and wallowed in fucking pity and sorrow. I fucking went for walks because I didn't want to be around anyone. And the irony of that is I'm going around people to go for a walk. I don't want to be around people, and there's fucking people everywhere in Melbourne. I lost my shit. I fucking lost my shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm relearning, right? I'm relearning as you do. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
And so,
and I'm allowed, and I give myself permission to be fucking frustrated.
And what's the benefit, What's the benefit? Okay, we can't read the messages, but we're getting a pretty good live. Look at the responses we're getting. Don't necessarily need the messages tonight as much, maybe. Okay. I don't know. But this is where we say, these are the things. And now it'll annoy him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he'll just read around it. And it'll just it'll be, it'll be a lot less annoying. It won't be that real frustration. Now that he's got the message.
Okay, I'll just follow the guidance. Yes, I'll calmly scroll through Facebook.
And so this is the tools. this is what we do every day, guys. You know, we don't teach and we don't share anything that I haven't at least come to some sort of grasp and do pretty well in my life, you know. So, you know, money has been a thing that's been, you know, up and down in my life and hasn't been really great. So you will very rarely hear me talk about money, you know. In about 5 years, when I've mastered that, you know, I'll do heaps of money seminars.
Up, John. A great one for you.
Okay, give it to me.
All right. Tanya, I need some guidance around resentment and grief.
So grief and resentment. Grief, first of all, guys, the meridians, in Chinese medicine, the acupuncture meridians. So the grief is stored on an energy level in the lung and large intestine. They're the two, the yin and yang of that. So lungs is where the grief is stored, basically. So the large intestine's the yin, so you don't really focus on it. You focus on the yang. So the lung is where the grief is stored. So when you're smoking cigarettes or weed, for some people, you know, if you're smoking it as a habit and intensely, you push. That's pushing the grief down. Yeah. So if you have been a smoker and you stop, and most smokers will attest to this, if you just go cold turkey and just stop, for about a week or so, you'll just fucking burst out crying at different times for no known reason. You won't even know why. You'll just be, you know, I remember back in the day when I did in my 20s and I was like, I'd just drive along and I was like, what's that about? It's like, this is crying. So, what's that about? I don't know what I was sad about. It's like, you know, or if it's alcohol, if it's anger, it's liver and gallbladder. So the liver is, you know, alcohol and other things that suppress the liver. That's anger, you know. So when I stopped alcohol or excessive alcohol, you know, that anger will come out. If you just go cold turkey for about a week or so, it'll just come up to the surface and release.
Like Tourette's.
Yeah. So the resentment and the grief are two separate things is what I'm trying to say there, Tracy. So try and deal, they're very, very different. Resentment is in the emotions and it gets locked up in the bones.
In the bones.
So when we break our bones, which, you know, that's why John's having to laugh at me, you know, bit of a daredevil. I've had a lot of motorbike accidents. But just
let's call it being a daredevil. Let's do that.
Yeah, it was. I'm a daredevil. And I've had a lot of motorbike accidents. I didn't say the same thing. I just said that. So, you know.
There's a picture. I'm gonna have a bike race. Nah, fuck you, God. I'm gonna keep going.
And, you know, it just so happens that, you know, my daredevil and my motorbike accidents seem to coincide when my resentment will build up too much about my life situations, you know. So, and if you look at the bones that it affects, you know, so resentment builds up in the bones on an energy level, on a frequency level. You know, grief builds up in the lungs on a frequency level. And these things symbolically can really show us where they are. So, you know, if you've got bone conditions, you know, it's like, you know, the buildup of calcium or brittle bones or whatever, you know, this is going to tell you that there's a lot of resentment in your body. And which bones it is can show you what the resentment's about and who it's related to. Whether it's more on the left side, if you're female, it's going to be more related to you. And if it's on the right side, it's going to be more related to males. But the resentment is basically you telling God what should be and what shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And ironically, the resentment builds up because your intuition, the reason you tell God what should be, how come I haven't got this? How come I haven't got that? It's not fair that they've got this and it's not fair that they've got that. You know, life sucks, whatever.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's like that comes about because what your soul or your inner being is actually trying, all those things that you are getting resentful about are the things inside you that you can have that are supposed to flourish in you. They're the seeds. Otherwise, they wouldn't annoy you.
Yeah.
The things that are annoying you, the things that you're getting resentful about is usually what you're lacking, you know, a good relationship or money or, you know, creativity, you know, or individual specifics of any of that, you know, just a harmonious life. That's the soul inside saying you can have it.
You can have it.
And ironically,
you can have it.
The judgments that we have then create the resentment, keeping it away from us for longer. So just one of the tools we have is look, universe, obviously I'm full of resentment. Show me I really don't want to be anymore. And you got to be genuine. Guys, again, none of this shit works. And I do prayers every day and I do affirmations. But I only do them when they're genuine. And I only do them when I can find a way to believe them. So if you can't be 100% genuine, it's very easy to be 100% genuine. Change your wording. So what you'll hear me say right now, universe, it seems like I am full of resentment. And if that is the case,
Mm.
then show me how to release it.
Mm.
And I'm willing to, and I really want to, even though I don't know how to.
Mm.
I can say that 100% genuine.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm full of resentment. Universe, show me. I don't even know if that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I can't say it with real conviction and
Yeah.
real belief.
Yeah.
So just change the wording, put ifs and seems like a maybes in front of everything, and then you can get it real genuine. But you've got to mean it, and you've got to be willing to go through. This is all frequency. It's like I'm talking a lot on the spiritual side here, but a lot of the other people, I don't use a lot of these words. I'll go into quantum physics and physics in general, and I can speak this same stuff when it comes to frequency, when it comes to energy, when it comes to waves, when it comes to right down to the particle theory and stuff like that. I can talk to you about the same stuff. When it comes to that, it's all waves and frequencies, and they're all the things that are creating our life. But the real us, the substance mind that does not move, mind doesn't move, it's a substance. The only things that's real is substance. And mind, awareness, consciousness, if you want to call it, that is there permanently, unchanging, unmoving, and knows everything. What moves is the waves and the frequencies. That's all the movement of the waves and frequencies. That's what brings these ideas out and makes them into matter. That carries them from one place to another, but they're not the substance. The movement is not the real.
Yeah.
It's real, it affects, but it's not the real. And so therefore, this is how we can get beyond all these effects and that from bothering us, because we can just go back to the true substance in the center. So just ask, genuine ask. Say, look.
And so Tracy, like, you've come back with a comment that says, I don't blame the hospital for negligence. We all make mistakes. I do own and accept it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we work on it, the first kind of thing that we clear is our conscious mind.
Yeah.
So we clear that, and we get to a level of acceptance consciously.
Yeah.
Okay, I consciously own and I consciously accept this, and I consciously don't have any blame anymore.
Yeah.
The challenge though is that sometimes the negative emotions associated to that can still be there.
Yeah.
And this is where, as John was saying, if they're still there,
Collective consciousness as well.
If there is resentment still, even though I've cleared this, I feel as though I've cleared this consciously.
Yeah.
Even if there isn't, if it is there, show me how to clear it.
Right.
That's kind of what we're saying, because sometimes it doesn't. You get yourself in a situation where it doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
You still feel it, but it doesn't make any sense because you've consciously worked it out.
And the subconscious mind picks everything up, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a collective conscious. So you got a lot of people around you, probably because this is going on every day, who are blaming the hospital, who are blaming the negligence. And it doesn't matter how many times you say no if they're all saying it is, because that's loading into your subconscious and that's loading up. So that's a tough one to challenge. This is why we do. A lot of the times you just don't buy what we call don't buy, tell, or sell the story, because the other people are going to back that up. And that, whether you believe it or not, if it's said enough times by enough people, that loads into your subconscious and there's blame there from everybody else. And you can't, and then you've got to try and undo that. This is why, just say, if there is still blame there, I don't know if there is, but maybe there is. Show me how to release it. Really show me. If it is, I really want it released and I don't know how. That's a question. And that starts, it's like a frequency pattern that starts. And that frequency pattern has to have the opposite. So this is the message and the answer are actually simultaneous once you get up to a certain level of consciousness. So when you ask the question genuinely, the answer is already there energetically and on a frequency level. So and that starts happening, and just leave it. And just keep saying that.
And knowing that it begins when you ask. And if you don't ask, then it doesn't.
So
begin.
you personally, your conscious mind doesn't blame, but has been released from emotions, and everyone else around you that is saying that and backing that up. That can be reinforcing it in the subconscious. So even though you don't believe it anymore, your conscious mind and our subconscious mind, for most people, are streets of they're worlds apart. So. And that's why we go down to the emotions. You can feel that there's resentment there. There's resentment there because I go, oh, fuck. It's like,
another tool that we do is visualize it. Right? Visualize that feeling that you had about that scenario. Put yourself back in that and just go feel that.
And you also said, there's nerve problems, right? So nerve problems is communication problems. So the communication problem, it could be between your soul or your inner child and your heart, your head and your heart, your wisdom, all those three aspects in your God self. There could be a communication problem between your thoughts and your feelings, is a simple way of putting it. So the nerve systems, when you get nerves, I had a nerve arm going the other day when I heard a message from somebody that I didn't like, and I wanted to blow up about it. my arm started to fucking shake like you wouldn't believe. I was like, whoa, that's weird, just my arm, not my whole self. So yeah, the nerve system is about communication. So any nervous system issues, it's always going to be about the root of it is always, on an energy level, is going to be communication. But it could be just an internal communication between you and you, not necessarily communication between you and the outside world, or vice versa. Sometimes it's between you and the outside world. So look at the nerves, look at the bone. If it's ligaments or that, it's ligaments are all about control. So if there's ligament issues, if you get people who dislocate bones and that really easily, they just don't know, they've got control issues. And it doesn't mean that it's the negative. It could be over-controlling. Control issues are over-controlling or under-controlling or not getting the control from inside. They're getting controlled from the outside.
Yeah. So, okay. Barbara's asking, what resentment is knee pain? Now, I guess firstly you would want to check to see if it is actually resentment. And what really jumped out at me after I read this was John saying the ligaments.
Yeah.
That was one of those, ligaments.
Yeah, I'd say knee pain, like when you get to bone pain, when you get to resentment, it's in the bone, right? I because it's deep as fuck. It's like, right? It's like, when you got ligaments, when you got tendons and ligaments, tendons, what was tendons? I can't remember. Ligaments is about control. I can't remember what the tendons are right now, but flexibility. So flexibility and control issues are what's going on. And so if it's your left knee, it's going to be more about female or yourself if you are female. If it's your right knee, and your knees are about your direction, where you're going in life. So it's about being flexible and controlling the direction that you're going in. So it's allow yourself to be flexible and change a bit more. So I don't think it'll be bone. It'll be ligaments and tendons. Most of the time, knee pain, it's going to be ligaments and tendons. And also you can go into meridians if there's certain spots on the knee, if it's not an overall knee pain, but if there's swelling in that, you've got inflammation, so you're getting inflamed, you're getting angry about not controlling your direction. And if it's on the left side and you're female, it's probably going to be angry with yourself. It can be the other females that are close to you. If it's on the right side, it's generally going to have a relationship, because the right side is physical as well as male and material. The left side is spiritual as well as female and intuitive or creative. So one will relate to the other. So it will relate to a male person if it's on the right side, but it's also about your physical material direction. So as you go through different layers, so each layer basically represents a different layer of the aura. So the easiest one to do with, and the main one we deal with, is the other people. Because then when you start to fix that, then the controlling it and fixing your physical direction or your spiritual direction and being more flexible, that'll all come about. Because we're mostly too worried about other people. Nearly every time, 95% of the time, I can bring it back to the people. Doesn't mean the other issues aren't there, the physical, spiritual, or direction. But yeah, I don't think it'll be in the bone when you're talking knee. I generally say it'll be ligaments, tendons, and stuff like that. So, and the resentment is quite deep. It's actually in the bone, and when resentment builds up too much, it's like the soul or the spirit puts ourselves in a position to break the bone to release the energy of resentment, because that'll really make you release it.
So Ash is asking, so when you say female for the left knee, do you mean it has to do with another female?
Or mostly yourself.
Mostly yourself.
Yeah, if you are female, mostly on my right side, I'll go to me first.
Me first,
right? And it's like, it's just, and if it's left side and you're female, go to yourself first. But yes, it could have to do with a whole bunch of other females. Your mum, your sister, your boss, if she's female, your daughters. It'll be the same issue between each one. And so, and if it's in the knees, it's solar plexus as well. So this is about you being your own authority. So yes, it is about you, but it's also about you telling your mum, yeah, mum, that's the way you did it. That's the way, or yes, boss, that's the way you did it. And this is the way I'm going to do it, So it will relate to the other ones, but it's knee is solar plexus. That's you, your authority with you. So you are going to be judging yourself some
way, shape, or form.
Some hardcore way, judging yourself that you're not nice enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not in control, or you're controlling too much, and then that will build into resentment, and you can break bones from that one very easily. I'm talking from experience here, the guys not laughing at you, laughing at me. Joyriding. Laughing at myself, I'm really, really good at this stuff. I'm so good at it because I've done so much of it. I had to study it for me. And so,
cool. I should just say thank you. Just had the same issue recently.
Yeah, so these things build up. We get arthritis. The arthritis is inflammation. What's inflammation? It's getting inflamed. What's inflamed is fire. It's the fire element, the solar plexus. We're getting pissed off all the time. We're getting fuck you shit, right? So but we don't do it. We're too controlled. With these. In the old days we have English blood don't speak like this. It's like, but the emotions in the background are getting inflamed, right? But if you get really good, you block it off, and you will not show any. Information. Oh no, I'm all good with that. I'm fine with that. It's like, yeah, but if I looked at your inner child right now, and it'd be unfuck this shit. Yeah. So sometimes you can't feel any of this stuff, especially when we get down to emotions. Thoughts is mostly easiest for people. Feelings is secondary. The heart, emotions, we've blocked them out. As you get older, we've blocked them out for so long, we don't even know they're there. So it gets really difficult until you get a certain level of clarity. And probably rightfully so, because you don't want to be digging into that. Get some of the bliss and the joy first. Get the head cleared and get some of those blissful, joyful moments. For half a day or so, and then I'll knock it back out here.
All right. So Barbara's come back saying, "Mine is my right knee." And I get the control detection example, but I don't think it's about a male, not like a male, external male. Perhaps it's about an internal male.
But perhaps it's about what you think about males, not a male in particular. It's about you think men have got it easier in the world, or you think men have made the rules in the world, or something like that. It's your physical direction. So if you can't relate to the male, it could, and a lot of this, we're talking subconscious here. So a lot of this is actually from childhood. So it could be there from your dad being too controlling, and you're not feeling controlling enough from your dad, and he might have been long gone by now, and it's still running there in the subconscious, and that's what's stopping you. That your dad's voice in the background there, like my dad's voice still comes up now, and then he's been dead for 20 years, and it still comes up now and then, going, Johnny. It's like, that's in there, and it's like, and that stops me sometimes from doing it my way. So it's. Sometimes we can't look at the male because it's just so far in the past. The subconscious mind, unless we've cleared it, it's like a big computer bank, unless we've cleared it, it's the stuff's still there from 2 years old. So a lot of this stuff can be from then. And then we're reprogramming ourselves from those parameters. So the males in your life when you were younger might have had, their voice might be in the background telling you what to do, and that's stopping you from changing your physical direction now, because their programs are deep in the subconscious, so that's why we have so many different ways of looking at this, because if we can't see one, we'll go to the other, and it doesn't matter really which one you see, because one will trigger the other one off. Yeah, so it's like, look at your physical direction, look at your material, look at your physical material direction, where you're going, and how do I be more flexible in what I'm doing? So physical is money, is your possessions, your just your physical direction in general, where you live, all those things. Not so much the spiritual side of things.
Okay, Shanara. Hey, Shanara.
Hey.
So when I'm doing yoga, I'm really tight and sore in the right-hand side of my hip in front of my thigh.
Yep.
Is that an inner masculine problem?
Right hand side of the
right hand side of like my hip in front of my thigh.
It's front of the thigh, right hand side of the hip.
Also
on the right side of the left.
On the right.
Yeah. So one of the things, especially yoga, yoga means communion. You're supposed to be talking with God, communion with God, if you want to call it that. That's the basic translation of the word yoga, So the great yogis, the stretching part of it is actually there to pull these issues up so that they can find exactly this that we're talking about. So your right hip is about being flexible at the, in the hip area, you're talking about base chakra stuff here. So we're talking about all the issues you have with large...
Right leg, right. So right side, basically.
So right side, this is, and if it's in your hip, in the front of your hip, It's about moving forward. So it's about moving forward, and it's in the base chakra area. So all the issues you have with groups, if men are a pain, if any group, the police, the government, they're a group. Your basketball team is a group. Any group issues you have are going to build up in the base chakra. So any issues you have, if men are a pain, or if a particular race are a pain, if the system, if you're doing yoga, and a lot of people doing yoga, they blame the system, they blame the Illuminati, and they blame this and that. So any issues you have with any group, your family, to any group above 3 people, if you've got 3 brothers and sisters, their siblings are a group, and these issues of resentment, and if it's the muscles, which I'm guessing it is, it's about guilt, about doing what you need to do on a physical level, moving forward. So you might want to do something that's really against the yoga rules. I'm guessing this is where we're going with this one. So, or that's not yoga.
That's a pop the top.
That's not yoga. So you got guilt about wanting to eat meat, or something, right? Because yoga people don't eat meat. I'm not saying yoga people don't. I'm just saying whatever rules are in there, whatever group of yoga people you're in, some of them love meat and everything else. But there might be a whole bunch of rules in there and about what you can do physically or what you can't do physically, what's spiritual and what's yoga and this and that. And then you've got this guilt about wanting to do something because your soul or whatever wants to do it.
Laughing, says it makes sense.
I want to go out and fucking get drunk. It's like your soul's in there screaming, going, I just want to get drunk. Because that's actually
what the fuck are you doing here?
That's going to balance things out.
I need to do yoga. I need to do yoga.
Yoga is communion, right? Communion with God, that's what it means. So
it could be,
you can do it. You can do it through art. You can do it through anything. If you're doing things and you're getting fully into the zone, I've got Satori or Die tattooed on my fingers, just to remind me, just in case I forget. Satori is about being in the zone where you lose the definition between you and the outside world. So when you get into full Satori or into the moment, that's when you're in full communion with God. So. My favorite place to do it, again, on the motorbike, after about 220, there's Satori. It's done by itself. Once you're going more than 220 kilometers an hour on a fucking cruiser, it happens by itself. You're just there. There's no longer me and the bike and the road. It's just all one. So this is what being in the moment's all about. This is what communion is about. So it's the best yoga teachers I've had in India and stuff like that, they don't do any of the stretching stuff.
Yeah.
That they do it through direct communion, and they do it through talking to the body. These messages that we're talking about, that is communion with God, if you get the message right, and if you listen to it. So yes, it is trying to tell you. So another, by no means does that mean stop doing yoga.
No,
just stop living by the rules. Do both sides. And don't tell them you're going to go out and do this stuff.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier about what does your body want? What does your soul want? Like checking in with yourself. So if it's, regularly,
base chakra stuff, guys. The base chakra.
Do I feel like that today? Do I feel like doing that today? Body, do you feel like doing yoga today? Or body, do you feel like eating meat today? Or body, what do you feel like eating today?
So we have
and see what you notice and see what comes up.
Feet issues, hand issues, and around the hips and that's all base chakra stuff, guys. So all the issues we have with the groups, bigger groups, this is back to the first guy when he was talking about, the holistic living, right? Be careful which holistic group you get into, because then that's gonna conflict with some of the things your soul wants to do, and and you're gonna build up issues against groups. Your family is a group. That's like, so any of these issues around the feet and the hands and the hip area are going to be related to group issues we have, and with conflict between what we want to do and need to do and what the group says we can or can't do. Whichever group it is. Whether it's the government, whether it's the Illuminati, that used to be my favorite one. Me and the Illuminati used to go out every day. So guess what? They won. And guess what? Now I don't give a shit. And it's like, so
Angela, any advice on what to work on to improve iron absorption, white blood cell counts?
First of all, stop telling yourself you've got a problem with it. Check if it's a problem. White blood cell counts, it's just like, look at the energetic side of it. What does iron represent? It's strength, it's grounding. Look at your grounding. So I would forget about, first of all, you've got to get rid of filters. You're saying you're telling yourself you've got a problem, and you're telling yourself it is a problem. Just because your iron's low doesn't mean it's actually a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and look at the message. So iron, generally speaking, that's about being grounded. So look at being grounded. Look at your group issues. Again, base chakra here. Have more red things, you know. Just do the basics. So use more earth around you. Get into the garden barefoot, you know, onto the ground. Anything to do with the earth element, anything to do with the red element, and just wear iron. You know, just like hematite bracelets and stuff like that. Wear it, you know, absorb it from nature. And it's trying to tell you need some strength. You need some iron in your blood. You know, just this stuff is very simple. It's very logical. You know, this infinite intelligence really created a lot of this stuff. So it didn't matter who we were, we'd be able to understand it, you know. You want to eat the right food, you need something for your heart. What are you going to eat? Freaking strawberries, they look like your heart. Oh, funny that. Got some brain issues? Walnuts. Oh, yeah, there we go. You know, got some bone issues? Celery. Oh, look at that. Looks like my bones inside. You know. They made it very, very simple, you know. It's like, you know, this, you just look at it. But if you can work the message out, you'll be guided towards it. You know, if you start listening to the message, is that the message? And don't believe anything we're saying, you know, because if you believe us, it's just another rule. Check it with what we say. Check, does that feel light? Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, that feels light. You know, it's like, yep, is that what it is? And ask and use is, sounds like, what if? Those words are really going to open you up, you know. The open mind doesn't have answers. The open mind just has more and more questions, right? So what if, maybe. What else is possible? Things like that, you know, keep that going. Is that correct? Does that feel right? Does that feel right? You know, so that will help it. When you get the answer, I'm not sure. If that's the case, show me, lead me, guide me. And then, you know, if you want it, ask the universe for a second confirmation or a third confirmation and then expect it to show up. So if that was true, tell me again. Oh, okay. What's that ad on the radio that's playing right now? What's that street sign I just passed? You know, we've got a lovely one just out the window here. There's a highway just down here. And there's a big electronic billboard down there that changes every couple of minutes. It's got all different ads on it. Half the time we just look out there and it says big words like "do it now," or, you know, "stop, relax." It's like, okay, confirmation. Okay. There it is, right
Thank
there.
you, sign.
You know, so,
thank you, God.
You know, ask for a second confirmation. You know, they'll pop up. You know, if you expect them to pop up, and they will. The things that you'll hear at someone else's conversation, just at the next table, you'll be walking down the street. There's a million conversations. You hear one word out of one conversation out of these 20. Why did you hear that? That's your message. Yeah. This is, you know, the universe is speaking to us all the time. We're hearing it all the time. We just deny it most of the time.
And then we create resentment.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's about it.
All right, guys. I think that'll do. Thank you.
So, yes, we've got a shop in South Yarra.
Yep.
So we're going to start Thursday night, intro night to our weekend workshops.
Yes.
So teaching all these tools. All the links are at the top there for our YouTube, for our Facebook. So all of these lives are on the YouTube. And then
he's getting the lingo.
I remembered. And so, yeah, so Tuesday nights we're thinking we may be cancelling the meditation class and just doing these workshop class.
Workshops,
but
we're looking at getting our online training on. Probably the shop's taking a bit more of a priority at the moment.
Yeah, so the shops we've got crystals, we've got all things. So if you are in Melbourne, South Yarra, pop in, have a look.
Come and say hello.
It's all there on our website, and we'll see you next Monday.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.